I'm similar to the Thriller in Manila. Honeys call me bigger, the condom filler. Whether it's stiff tongue or stiff dick, Biggie squeeze it to make shit fit. Now check this shit, I got the pack of Rough Riders in the back of the Pathfinder. You know the epilogue by James Todd Smith. I get swift with the lyrical gift. Hit you with the dick, make the kidney shift. Here we go, but I'm not domino. I got the funk flow to make your drawers drop slow. So recognize the dick size in these Calcanine jeans. I wear 13s, know what I mean? I fuck around and hit you with the Hennessy dick. Mess around and go blind, don't get to see shit. The next batter, here to shatter your blatter, it doesn't matter. Skinny or fat or light skinned or black, baby, I drop these. Boniqua mommy screaming, I poppy. I love it when they call me Big Pop, but I only smoke blunts if they roll prop. But look, I got ya caught up with the drunk flow. Fuck taekwondo, I told a fofo. For niggas getting mad cause they bitch chose me. A big black motherfucker with G. You see, all I do is separate the game from the truth. Big bang boots from the Bronx to Bolivia. Getting physical like Olivia Newt. Tricks up my click dick all day with no trivia. So give me a bankroll and a bag of weed. I'm guaranteed to fuck until her nose bleed. Even if the new man's a certified Mac, you get that H down in you. You want that old thing back?
Like B-I-double-T-I-E with some new R-U-L-E. Notorious, known for bustin' in your E-Y-E. Baby, baby, bitches know they love to hate me. How come you come, we're coming back, so maybe how close we came to coming together is crazy. How come you witnesses make similar faces when y'all coming, y'all be crying like I'm killing y'all bitches. I know there's a bigger picture than the camera roll, cause I don't think y'all be knowing how this shit's unfolding. Back shots to the rear, got the Mac unloading, gotta reload like every so often. Saying I got my swagger back, I'm looking like bitch, my swagger never left. Don't be so hard pressed to be impressed by these new rappers. They actors and the fact is, you want that old thing back.
Like Scarface and Bushwick, Willie D, having nightmares of girls killing me. She mad because what we had didn't last. I'm glad because her cousin let me hit the ass. Fuck the past, left well on the 500 SL, the E and J and ginger ale. The way my pockets swell to the rim with Benjamins. Another hunt's in the crib, please send it in. I fuck non-stop, lick my lips a lot. Used to lick the clips a lot, but making clips had to stop. Cause y'all don't know how to act when the tongue go down below. Peep the funk flow, really go. I got the cleanest, meanest penis. You never seen this, stroke of genius. So take off your Tim boots and your bodysuit. I mean the spandex and hit my man next. Sex get rougher when they come to the nut buster. Pussy crusher, black nasty motherfucker. I don't chase them, I replace them. And if I'm caressing them, I'm undressing them. Fuck what you heard, who's the best in New York? Fulfilling fantasies without that nigga Mr. Raw. Or tattoo, I got you wrapped around my dick. And when I'm done, I got the split shit.
Yo, yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. I don't, again, with this screen issue, man. It's every time Streamlabs updates, it completely changes which screen I'm using. Oh, all right. Let's talk some macro chart movement. It's been about a week since I streamed. Last week I was out of town. And then not much happened. I was back Wednesday, Thursday, but nothing really happened Friday. So didn't stream. Obviously, a lot's changing or has changed. Bitcoin now sitting at 71.5K. So giving you guys an update there. Sorry for the sweaty hair. I was downstairs working out. Um, I've just put up 2 heavy bags, so was hitting those, get a nice sweat in. All right, Chris, what's up, dude? How you doing? Dorian, what's up? Bitcoin going to close below 71K. It's probably going to hit in the 60s this week, is my guess. Sure, Builda, what's up, Roman? What's up, dude? Hope you're doing good. All right. S&P Weekly. So I really don't have a lot to comment other than this with the S&P 500. Look, I tweeted this a couple hours ago. The S&P this year, since April, right? Since late April, sorry. It is late March to June, so 2 months. In 2 months, we have gone up 20%. That is ridiculous. That is an absurd gain in terms of the S&P 500. Obviously, the 100-year average is about 10% a year, a little over 10% per year, considering the last couple of years have been just absolutely astonishing. Look, here's my thing, and I believe that the S&P will continue to go up, so take this with a grain of salt. My point is, what happens, and obviously this is Bitcoin up against the S&P 500 since really October of last year. We've seen just an inverted correlation where Bitcoin's dropped significantly as the S&P 500 has continued to break all-time highs. My biggest concern here is what happens when the S&P 500 hits that correction, right? Let's say it happens this week, next week, whenever it happens. Let's say we get a 5% correction, right? 5% correction, 7,200, even all the way down to 7K. That'd be about a 10% correction. It makes sense, right? We're up 20%, see a decent pullback. There's nothing wrong with that. We've seen this the whole time. The issue is Bitcoin really hasn't held up at all. It's been dumping and really dumping since October, right? We have not made a new all-time high. We have not seen gains. We've seen a consistent downtrend. What happens when the S&P 500 corrects? Will Bitcoin stay the same? Probably not. Will Bitcoin rise? Probably not. I would imagine that Bitcoin drops quite significantly. It's a risky asset. We know that risky assets tend to follow the move harder than the S&P 500. And, considering this weakness, considering Bitcoin's in a bear market, I wouldn't put up, the objection that we go down to like 45K, maybe even 40K. I know that sounds absurd to you guys now that we're sitting at 70, but a 10% correction on the S&P 500 is like a 40% correction on Bitcoin. Not 40, like 20 to 30. How you doing, man? Enjoying the new home? Yeah, we're enjoying it. Slowly moving in. My office is like 90% of the way set up. Awesome. A lot of space, bigger yard, great stuff. No complaints. Bitcoin May monthly candle wasn't great if you're bullish. Yeah, I mean, nothing has been bullish for Bitcoin for a very long time. Even when we broke all-time highs and went to 125K, it really wasn't bullish. We were just seeing exhaustion. There wasn't anything that was going to hold that up. Once it got sold into, it was toast, right? So, as much as I want to tell you guys, hey, this is the direction the S&P 500 is going. Look, my realistic approach to this, we are up 20%. That is a ridiculous game. I would not be a buyer here, right? We're up so much. We're so overextended. I can't say buy here. It's not a buy for me. But what I will say is what happens when this inevitably drops, right? It's not just going to do this forever. It's not going to go straight line forever. What happens when we see that drop? How it'll affect Bitcoin? Personally, I think Bitcoin's going to absolutely tank when this happens. You think that the stock market is entering a blow off top phase, even if the blow off top lasts for months? Most likely. I mean, just look at it, right? I mean, the last several years, it's just been nothing but parabolic gains. I mean, really, since like COVID, we've just straight gone up. I know we've had, a year of correction. We really need one of these, right? Similar to this, the 2000s, the 2008, but we kind of need that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like we could go sideways, go up, sideways, go up. We could keep repeating this pattern, but at some point it does become unstable. Plus, with all the conspiracies about like boomers and stuff, um, wanting to sell into us, and that'll be the top of the S&P 500. I don't think it'll be the complete top, guys. You have to remember, people are constantly buying into 401ks. The stock market's constantly being bought up. So if you think about just simple like supply and demand, it should continue to rise. I don't want to say forever, but for a decent long period of time. I mean, a 50% crash is always possible if we get nuked or if they find something out, like interest rates go up significantly, or there's just like a major. I mean, it's going to take like a major event. Like COVID didn't even drop 50%, right? So, I mean, anything can happen at any period in time, but it would take a significant event, right? Like a nuke going off or a new virus, or we find out that the dollar is worthless, or, something happens, something major happens, which is funny because the dollars kind of retain value throughout the whole year, right? And during a year long period, the dollar really hasn't done anything. That makes you wonder again, what happens when the stock market drops? What will happen to Bitcoin? If the dollar's not, kind of staying stagnant, might pump upwards, right? We're looking at this potential inverted head and shoulders here. If that does go up, Bitcoin and stocks will go down. So what happens when that happens, right? Keeping our eyes on that. Really, the whole point of the stream today is, when will Bitcoin find its low? When will it get violent? And I think it gets violent when the stock market has its correction. What can make people feel so much fear that they stop investing in the S&P 500? I think that day happens when there's a zombie apocalypse and money doesn't matter. Because like the S&P 500 is basically the U.S. economy. Like either the U.S. continues to be the best, or like the most profitable, the business engine of the world, or it stops. We have civil unrest and our money doesn't mean anything. And you're looking at like Venezuela 2.0. Unless they come out with something else that's better, right? Like by the time it hits that like the S&P 500 is worthless, stop putting your money in it, it's too late. Nothing matters. Tether dominance, again, just checking it. Looks a lot like Bitcoin. Obviously, it's the inversion of Bitcoin. Just like saying Bitcoin's bearish, I still believe this is bullish, right? Tether dominance. Like I said, big correction, sideways and up. That's been our plan for weeks and months, and finally getting it right. I really don't see anything bearish on this chart. I don't see any. Whoops. I don't see any problems, right? We talked about our bullish divergences on RSI between our last two lows, right? I don't really see any momentum divergences. Again, this is all coming with confluence that Bitcoin is going to continue to drop. We are going to continue that bear market. That doesn't mean that we're perma bears or we think Bitcoin's going to zero. It just means that there's enough confluence right now to say that Bitcoin's going to continue to go lower and continue its bear market. Apparently, Bitcoin is not the answer. I mean, that's very like relatively speaking, because Bitcoin's up a ridiculous amount, is one of the best performing assets of all time. It's just we're in a bear market phase, right? Bitcoin does this thing where it has these huge upturns and then it has a bear market. Huge upturn, bear market. If you look at it from like a simple moving average, where let me draw the moving average. Imagine like the S&P 500 is a simple moving average, right? Bitcoin does this. So at any given point, right? And we're like here, in my opinion, you always go back to that mean. And I guess an even simpler way of putting it is this. Bitcoin does this. Right? Where it continues to make all-time highs and comes back to that mean. right? Right now we're like halfway there, maybe a little bit over halfway there. But that's just math. That's exponential math. All it is. When you overextend, when you are too far, quote unquote, too far gone, price will revert back to its mean. When the tech bubble bursts, where do you think the money will go next? I don't think the tech bubble's ever going to burst. We're in one of the most interesting periods in like human history. I mean, if you think about it, we've been in a tech bubble since like the 80s. I mean, I think that there could be like a lot of exposure in one space, like for instance, AI. I think there are way too many companies that are looking at AI and trying to use AI. I think a lot of them will quote unquote fizzle out, but I don't think there's going to be like a bubble burst. Yeah, Bitcoin cycles. So one thing I wanted to talk about, guys, for anyone new here, this has been part of the plan for quite a while. I started getting bearish here, right? Stating that lots of exhaustion on this chart, lots of RSI divergences, momentum divergences, issues with volume. The fact that we were seeing the most Bitcoin sold of all time. I don't know if you guys remember that tweet, shared it. Most Bitcoin sold of all time was happening between 100 and 120K. So why not be bearish? The chart, the seller data, I guess the data of inflows and Bitcoin leaving, being sold, whatever exchange data was all pointing towards exhaustion. That's why, I got bearish here. Was at the top? No. Was it the exact top? Absolutely not. But my point is, and brings me back to what I said earlier in the stream, when I was like, even at 125K, we really weren't bullish. What I mean is we're not going to continue, or if we continue, it'll be weak. And notice how we have this really strong upward move, a lot of consolidation, which is needed, less strong, right? Nice move, but less strong, then less strong, then less, right? It's the same thing with what happened in 2021. We had this huge move. We had some consolidation. We had another move, starts to slow down, another decent move. But notice how every move is becoming smaller, right? You get the first giant move, then you have a medium-sized move, and then you have a small move, right? You're seeing exhaustion play out amongst, a dozen other indicators where you have divergence, you have volume issues. This whole second high was off the lowest volume we've ever seen, which again, it's hard to be macro bullish on something like that when there's nothing pointing towards bullishness or continuation or strength. So when I'm saying, yeah, even at 125K, we weren't truly bullish, what I mean is there really wasn't any strength. But back to this, for anyone new, pretty much been saying the same thing. We were going to drop hard, which we have, right? Big drop, consolidation, big drop. Made the claim that we slow down, bleed sideways for a few months after we hit about 76K. We actually went much lower than 76K. Bounced quite a bit, moved sideways, but moved sideways on what? And when you start to really look at some of the details here, why does volume matter? If volume is going down and price is rising, that is bearish price action. That means that, look, when true volume comes in, when people actually step into the market, they're selling. They are not buying. This is what's called a relief bounce, right? And you need relief bounces so that you can continue that market movement, whether it's up or down. No one sitting here is perma bear or perma bull. What we're saying is giving the indications of continuation. And everything on this chart currently says to continue lower. Now, what I am looking at or very interested in, and amongst the USDT bullish divergences, we actually had bearish divergences on this chart, right on Bitcoin. You had lower highs, higher highs, bearish divergence. You also, you have a slight momentum divergence here, which makes me wonder how many more lows are we going to get? I think at least one or two. If we get to 50K, we'll create an RSI or our first large macro RSI divergence. So I am probably going to look to buy that. Plus, we'd be down nearly like 60%, I believe. Let's check. If we go all the way to the bottom, 60%, we know that Bitcoin typically drops around 75 to 80% during its bear run. So look, 60% safe to start buying. Again, I will let you guys know when I start buying. I know it's been a very, very, very boring last few months just because look, I'm not interested in this. I don't care about this. It's very hard to trade these types of moves. I know the weekly looks clean, but look at the daily. We just chopped. And I know like people are going to sit here and be like, oh, well, from bottom to top, we went up 30%. Okay, that's great. But the odds of you catching the bottom and selling the top and not getting sucked into this bullish narrative, like, guys, this is not bullish. For a whole month, couple months, we went up on air. The problem with this move is at any given point, right? Obviously, we have hindsight because we know where it ended. At any given point, this could turn around and continue lower, right? We could go up, maybe we think it's going to go up 15%, but it goes up 14%. And then the next day just dumps into oblivion, right? The exact same thing happened last bear market. We had a significant sideways period where people were like, why didn't you guys buy? Why didn't you do this? You missed on these gains. Okay, well, what about this? When people thought that this is going to rise and then maybe come back down or just continue to rise, and it just sank off a cliff. And then all of this chop that you would have gotten chopped up in, right? Lost tons of money in, and then we just dumped again, right? So try not to get sucked into that hindsight. Trade things that actually make sense. If indicators are saying, hey, this doesn't make any sense, why we're going up. And again, when you're sitting here like, but volume's going down and price is going up, just be patient. Just sit back and be patient. There's no reason to rush into a trade. You want to join, or not join, you want to participate in trades that give you confidence, that make you feel good. You don't want to go into something like, oh, well, it's pumping, my system's wrong. No, you don't want to get sucked into that trap. That's a terrible, terrible mindset. I'm looking exactly the same bullish divergence on RSI on the 1 week Bitcoin chart that you're looking at. The same future impossible. Yeah. I mean, that'll be, again, a good sign to start buying because now we have a couple different signs with even with our monthly chart, right? Where we have hit that 40 mark. If we get down to 50K, then my risk reward becomes better. Then it makes a little bit more sense. And, I don't want to say that the bottom's in. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that we're starting to accumulate significantly more signs that tell us that we're going to potentially reverse soon. Maybe not in that instance, but at least we're going to reverse soon. And that's the best way I can put it. Like in 2022 and 2023, right? Lower lows. You had the monthly, remember we talked about monthly RSI. We were hitting the 40 mark all in this. We had a descending triangle, lots of volume accumulation. We had our RSI divergences here. We had momentum divergences here. There was a lot that was telling us to buy here, right? A lot of momentum divergences here as well. Lots telling us to buy. And again, this is a weekly chart. This isn't a 5-minute. This isn't a daily. This is a weekly chart. And amongst, again, I know I just showed this, but I'll show it to you again. The monthly that was sitting even below our 40 mark, right? Our MACD, which had started to correct and come back down and change. Plus, we saw a huge amount of buying on Binance. So, that's what I'm looking for. I know, guys, it's been quite boring these last couple of months. I really haven't posted a lot of lower time frame trading just because, again, it doesn't work out the way you'd think. It's very unreliable. What I am looking for today is a close below our diagonal, which I actually think we will get. I mean, we're pretty much there. Again, you guys know me. I don't really like diagonals that much. Might have to put a support box here. Because I want to see if we break this. If we break below this horizontal, we're definitely going to 50K. Like that's happening. But I am interested in this daily, right? And look, check this out. We talk about how volume was going down as price was moving up, right? Now volume's starting to slowly rise as price is going down. I might have said price is starting to rise. Volume is starting to rise as price is going down. Again, another sign of what is that? Bearish price action. Like it's not It's not that hard to see. You just have to look at the peaks in volume. Like our volume has been slowly rising and not significantly, but slowly rising here as this is dropping down. I think you'll see a big giant sell candle and a lot of volume come in, similar to a lot of these other big moves. As soon as we start getting like 68 to 66. I'm short since 82K. If you look at the daily/hour time frames, you'll see that people are still longing every low. I generally can't understand it. Doesn't make sense because they want hope, because they go on Twitter and they read all these big accounts that are telling them to be bullish. And I've been saving tweets from these big accounts, so they're not going to be able to get away with what they've always been to get away with. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. You have people telling you that alt season's coming. Like, I get that Bitcoin dominance is dropping. I don't care. There's 40 million altcoins. Of course, it's going to drop over time. Doesn't matter. But saying like, oh yeah, like it's alt season because alts are doing slightly better than Bitcoin today. I I don't understand that logic. Alts are down so significantly from even like local highs compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down like 40%. Most alts are down 90%. Right? At some point, like you're gonna have days where they outperform slightly, but that doesn't mean it's alt season or a good time to buy altcoin. And also, there's 40 million altcoins. How the hell do you know which ones to buy? Um, and even Bitcoin dominance, like it's not like Bitcoin dominance has lost support. Bitcoin dominance is just chilling, moving sideways. I don't know. I get a lot. I see a lot of weird and desperate posts, man. I think people really lost their ass during the last kind of quote unquote bull market. And the funny thing is, now I'm seeing posts that people are saying that we didn't even experience a bull market, which is hilarious. Oh yeah, dude, I've saved tons of them, tons and tons of garbage that I've read over the last couple months. That's the beauty of Twitter is you can save people's tweets. All right. I really don't have much more to update. Keep an eye on the Bitcoin Daily. We're looking for, let's see. I mean, I'd like to see a close below like 70.5, if I'm being honest with you. Right about, if we can close below that, I'm pretty confident in a breakdown to at least the lower 60s. If we close how we are, it's tough to say. We could bounce. Again, I do like this volume. I do think we're going to continue lower. It is funny how MicroStrategy sold 32 Bitcoin and everyone's like, oh, it's because of MicroStrategy, guys. It's not because of MicroStrategy. Bitcoin was always going to dump. They'll delete them as soon as when you call them out. Then let them. I mean, there's not much you can really do about it. All right, guys. That's all I have for today. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, around 30 minutes to an hour, around 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys tune in. With all that said, guys,